there's been a bill on the table for 20 years to allow adult adoptees to gain access to their records and have those records not be sealed by the court.
Hello, you are listening to NPE Stories. This is a podcast where NPEs can share their story. I am your host, Lily, and I found out I was an NPE through an ancestry DNA test that changed my life forever. NPE is a term that stands for not parent expected or non-paternal event. This means that one or more of our parents are not who we believe them to be. NPE Stories is a podcast where NPEs can share their story of what their original family was like, how they found out they were an NPE, and what their journey has been like since the day they found out. Welcome to episode 79. Lately, I've been feeling a little emotional and protective towards NPEs and others like me. NPEs, adoptees, and donor-conceived people who are finding out their true biology later in life. I get so much out of listening and reading what others are going through. I often feel frustrated when people are rejected by their biological families, and I feel happy when they are treated with warmth and compassion. There is no one right or wrong way to experience what we have gone through, and we are going to listen to a story now. Today, I am speaking with Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hello. Thank you, Lily, for having me on. I really appreciate this.
I'm so glad to be speaking to you in person because I have been reading your book and I feel like I know you, even though today is the first time I'm actually speaking to you.
Well, that's good to hear.
I guess I should start by saying what your book is. Do you want to introduce your book and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Michael Blair, and I am an NPE. I have found out that I was an NPE when I was 12, by accident and on my own. So through our journey, this has been a long journey that not only I've been on, but my family and my wife, and we just started to document everything as we went on this journey, and we rolled it all into a book called "I Had My Underwear On the Entire Time."
Which is hilarious, the story behind that, by the way, and absurd.
Yes.
And that's something you probably have to read the book for that story.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm here to plug books. So
Cool.
let's.
So how this works is normally I have people share their story from the beginning. And as much as you'd like to share today, I'd like to hear. So if you could, tell me a little bit about your original family and what your childhood was like.
Sure. I was born in 1972 and grew up with my mom and my grandparents for the few first years. Um, my mother, when I was about 5, um, had met a man, and they formed a relationship and got married. I have no recollection of not having my birth certificate dad in the picture. So I can't remember a time without him being there. Um, we moved to a suburb of Des Moines, Iowa, and I grew up in a small town, and it was great. It was fantastic. And, it wasn't, we didn't have a lot, but that we never went without food. We never went without clothes. So it was good. That being said, there were some weird things that happened. So, family gatherings, I get side-eyed by people. I was just treated a little bit differently than my siblings. I have 2 younger sisters, um, who were both by my mom and dad. I'm about 5 years older than my youngest sister and 6 years younger or older than my youngest sister. So, yeah, they were completely different than me. They were small, petite, beautiful girls, and I was not. I was the exact opposite. So, um, I'm about 6 foot, and I think they top out at about 5'2". So both
Mm.
of my parents are very small people, and I stuck out like a sore thumb. So yeah, it was people knew things that I didn't know, and it was I always felt like an outlier during while I was growing up. And it wasn't until I was about 12 years old. It was Memorial Day. Um, we went to visit the graves of, or my dad's parents, and he was looking at the tombstone. He goes, "Oh, he died in 1973. That was the year before, or that was the year that he met my mom. So originally, so it he was like, "Oh, this is we met in 1973. I sure wish you and Mikey could have met him." And I was just like, "Wait, what?" And because I knew I was born before that. Um, but it was, how do you bring that up to a parent? I mean, I thought maybe he misspoke or I didn't hear it right. So I, just I always thought that was a little strange. Um, one day I went through, my parents were gone. I was left at home, and I started to go through some of their paperwork, and I found my birth certificate, which was very strange. It was not a typical birth certificate. I found my sister's birth certificates in there too, and they were completely different. So mine was not an amended birth certificate, it was a delayed certificate of birth. Um, so that was another clue that something was a little off with me. Um, but
What does that
upon,
mean? A delayed birth certificate, or however you said that?
yeah, a delayed certificate of birth, that's what it's called. So essentially, what it is it lists my birth mother as my mom, and then under birth father, there are three lines. The first two are blank with different dates listed, and the last one has my dad's name on it 7 years after I was born.
Mm.
So it's due to the adoption. So if you're adopted in Iowa, you can, I think, what happens is the original birth certificate gets sealed by the courts, and it
Mm.
can't be touched. And so a delayed certificate of birth is created with the adoptive parent's name on there.
Okay.
So yeah, it's strange and it's weird, and it's been kind of a pain in the ass my entire life. I've went to get jobs, and people don't think it's a real birth certificate, so they have to before getting hired, they would have to do a background check. This is like when I was 14 years old and applying to work at a grocery store. So, and fast food places, they were like, "Oh, wait, we can't hire you. You don't look like you are a legal person."
Mm.
So that's always been a weird thing. Um, so I did ask my parents about it, um, and they just said, "Oh, yeah, we were moving and we lost your original birth certificate, so we
Mm.
just had to get a new one, and that's why it says that." So
Ah, got
yeah,
it.
yeah. So it started off, not with the honesty it should have. Thinking back now, I should have expanded upon that question and asked some more deeper things, but that didn't happen. Um, so yeah, it was from when I was 12 to 18, so 6 years. Every person I saw on the street, every man, I would think, "Oh, are you my dad? You kind of look like me. I could be your kid." So that was kind of strange going through that experience. When I was 18, It was during the summer after I graduated high school. I didn't have a job. I was just lounging on the sofa. My mom was vacuuming. She shut off the vacuum and just said, "Hey, Steve is not your real dad." And I just said, "Yeah, I know." And it was awkward and weird. And she didn't say anything else and just turned the vacuum on and started vacuuming again. So, um, so yeah, I was just left with a bunch of questions that again, it was super awkward to kind of bring up as, like an 18-year-old. Um, and it really did put a strain on a relationship, not just from that point, but even before. So like when I was 12 up until I was 18, it was very awkward and strange with my parents. Yeah, once I found out, it was like, okay, finally I do have some answers. It's confirmed. Um, I'm just going to let it go. Well, after a while you start thinking about it and you just get angry and you're like, okay, who is my father? Where do I come from? Who am I? So I had all those big questions. And it wasn't until I met Amy, my wife, and I was 19, she was 20. Um, and I was bringing this up to her and she was like, well, why don't you go back and ask your mom, what's going on? So I did, and I approached her, and she explained to me that she was walking down the street one day when she was 17, and um, she was a guy on a motorcycle pulled up and said, "Hey, you look cute," and they kind of hooked up. And I was like, "Okay, what was his name?" And she could not remember. She couldn't remember his name. She still to this day can't remember his name, even though we've been over and over this. Um, so I think she just totally blocked it out of her memory. And she, uh, she got pregnant, and my grandparents were, um, I don't think that great to her, during that time. So this is, early 70s. It was very shameful. So she had to drop out of high school, pretty much have me, and started to raise me. Um, and my grandparents did not treat her well. They spoiled me to death, which which I'm grateful for, and I was very very close to them. Yeah, they kind of always shamed my mom for having me. And also interestingly, this was like 6 months before I think Roe versus Wade got passed. So I could not be aborted,
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. Which that's kind of really trippy to think about too. So yeah, fast forward again to when I was 18 or 19, and I met my wife, my future wife at the time. Went and talked to my mom, and she just kind of gave me the story with no answers, no real answers. She's like, yeah, I can't remember his name. Oh wait, his name is John Smith. And I was like, okay, come on, I'm not that stupid. Um, but she's like, no, really, is this is what happened. And I was like, okay, you're just feeding me a line, and you're trying to protect somebody or something. I didn't know what was going on. So again, I just got angry, and I approached her maybe a year later and asked her about it, and she broke down and she freaked out. She did not want to talk about this. She asked me never to bring it up again, that she doesn't know anything. And I just kind of magically appeared one day. So, yeah, so it just kind of it just stewed for many years. And, during that time, I have tried to find this guy. I went to the hospital, pulled my medical records. They would give them back to me all sharpied out with things about my birth. So it was a lot of things were redacted, and I couldn't find answers that way. I went to the court and asked for my original birth certificate. It's sealed, and they would just give me a copy of my delayed birth certificate again. I have, and I would try different names. I would try to scam them and say, "Oh, well, I've been known under these two names." So I would try and switch that up, but nothing ever changed, and I would just get get the runaround. Yeah, and then it was looking into some private investigators, and they were like, "We don't have anything to go on. Um, we can't find any record of anything." So it was very frustrating for a long time, and it was just really painful and to go through this for so many years and be angry for so many years. And I think that's where a lot of points where I differ from a typical NPE is, I've known for so many years and I've been through that anger. And that's, what I hear a lot from, newly found NPEs that, I just feel so bad, they're going through all this anger. Um, and I've been there, but I'm used to it now. And it's just kind of everyday life and you just move on. Um, so it wasn't until I did the Ancestry DNA in 2016 and got my results back. Partially, I wanted to know, who I was, what made up um, my ethnicity, and just to see kind of partially who I was. There was a lot of German and a lot of English. So, and I always thought I was Italian. I love pizza, so I just thought, oh, okay, this I don't know anything about myself. So did that, got the results back, and luckily enough, I matched with a woman in Seattle, and we shared 1,917 centimorgans. Had no idea what that meant, so had to do
Wow.
some research. I think every NPE has to become an expert genealogist in a very short amount of time. We just did a lot of crash courses on YouTube, and we figured out who this woman was and where she lived, and just stalked the crap out of her for a couple weeks and trying to look through anything that she had. It's that pivotal moment where you have to make a decision. Do I contact this person or do I just let it go? And that was a hard decision to make because I knew once I started this journey that it was going to be a long and difficult one. But I did it. And I wrote a letter to her, and she didn't respond for a few weeks. And I was just getting kind of discouraged by that time. I think it was 3-4 weeks. Um, she finally returned a message and said, "Yes, I would love to talk to you." So that was that was the next big step. Was okay. You're sweating bullets and you're just so anxious to talk to this person that that is related to you by kind of a lot. Since then, one of my half sisters have taken ancestries, and I share more DNA with this biological aunt than I do with my half sister, which is super weird.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I called her up, and we ended up talking for like 4 hours. Everything clicked. It was instant family, so it was super creepy and amazing at the same time. She was a public school teacher for her entire life. I'm a professor. Her husband was an instructor. My cousin, their child, is also a professor. And finding out later, my grandmother was an instructor too, so teacher. So I finally figured out where that part of myself came from. So that was very, very, again, strange and awesome. So, going through kind of her While I was going through the stalking process, I went through a lot of her family pictures. There's um, 10 children in this family, in my bio family. There's 5 girls and 5 boys. So I knew it was one of the 5 boys, of course. And then looking at their ages and everything, we narrowed it down between 2 of them. Um, and I got to tell you, the second it was less than a heartbeat when I saw the picture of my bio father, I knew who it was. It was, again, one of those strange, weird connections, and you just know. I talked to my aunt and asked her to reach out to both of them, and she kindly did. And it was it was kind of funny. She called one of her brothers and said he's like, nope, it wasn't me. I wasn't around at that time. I was out of state. Um, and she talked to 2 other of her brothers, and they kind of said, no, I don't remember anything about that. And you know, she goes, okay, well, I'm going to ask this other brother, which they kind of don't get along with. And they said, oh wait, one of them said, oh wait, there was a girl. Um, so that ended up being my bio father, and she was my aunt was a good mediary between the 2 of us and a diplomat and trying to get us to um, get together. So yeah, it's she talked to him and said that I wanted to meet him, and he was luckily curious to meet me too. Um, so I wrote a letter to him and explained who I was. I sent it. I sent it on a Monday, and I got a response on a Wednesday. So uh, luckily, he's only 2 hours away from me. So you know, looking back at how I grew up, and looking at every man down the street, it could one of those people could have been him. Yeah, he wrote back, or he called me and said, yeah, he would like to meet up. And so we met, and everything was going great. He was like, well, I don't know exactly if you're my child, but let's do a paternity test. So I agreed to that. We went down to a lab, got swabbed, and he was like, okay. He signed up for I asked to pay for it, and he said no, he was going to pay for it. And he's a very crafty guy, so he was very smart this way. So he ended up paying for it, and he said if it was negative, then I could pay for it. So I was like, all right, whatever. So so he ended up getting the results. So everything was in his name. So he got the email confirming it. He got paperwork confirming it. So he called me back up when he got the results and said, well, I guess you are my son. The test was positive, but it could be a false positive. Again, major eye roll. um, so yeah, it was. I was like, okay, great. This confirms it. I've already known for a while that you are my father. There's no question about this. But things got a little weird after that. He just said, well, I haven't told my wife yet. I haven't told I have 3 half brothers. He hasn't told anybody anybody in his family about this. So he goes, well, before we go any further, he wants to speak with his wife about it. And I was like, that's fair. Go ahead, fine. And that's where things kind of went south. So she just was not accepting of this, and she, in her mind, he was the one and only person that she's ever been with. They were high school sweethearts, so she felt very betrayed, and I understand that. So I called him back and said, well, he called me back and said, this my wife is not handling this well. I was like, oh, okay. Is it okay if we talk now and then? He was like, sure, that's fine. so we would call each other, or I would have to call him every couple weeks. He could only talk to me when he was out of the house, so he had to go drive in his truck and talk to me. Um,
He had to keep you hidden.
oh yeah, so he still had to keep me hidden. Um, so yeah, after we got the results back, I did ask him for a copy of the results. I was like, can I have? I don't have anything tangible that shows my existence. Even my birth certificate's weird. So um, he was like, nope. I've called the lab. I've asked them to destroy all the files. I deleted the email. I don't know where it came from. Blah 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 blah. Which was a huge blow. And again, instant anger. So I was very upset about that, and he just shut it down. Um, so I was like, okay, this is a little strange, a little weird. So I ended up calling the lab, and I was like, okay, this is what happened. He's withholding the information from me about this. I know I did not pay for this information, but I was a participant. What are my rights there? So they said, absolutely, we can send you the results. So I have it confirmed that it was 99.9% positive. And I was, um, so that was an amazing document to get a hold of.
Mm-hmm. You have this piece of paper, you have this email that says you have 99.9% paternity positive,
Right.
but at the same time, he's just told you, I'm deleting this email, I'm having the lab delete it. That's got to be so conflicting to have this
Yeah.
positive result at the same time you're getting this rejection from him.
Yeah, it was very conflicting. He did agree to meet me one more time, and I just said, I have some questions for you. I wanted to do this in person. Could you please, meet me halfway, and we can talk about this. So he talked to his wife. His wife was not happy about this. I fully believe that she was in the same parking lot that we were uh,
Oh.
that we were in, but we did end up meeting in a Hardee's parking lot. Um, I actually went into the place and sat down and thought he was going to come in, but he called me up and said, "No, I'm in my truck. Come out and meet me in my truck." So we talked, and when we joked a little bit, and again there was a connection there, and it was pretty good. It was going well, and I thought things were going to change. I asked him what his version of the story was, that my mom gave me the story. He's like, no, that never happened. He said that he lived in a house with a bunch of other guys, and he was working in town for construction, and my mom showed up one day and she was a whore and she slept with everybody in the house, and that he had his underwear the entire time when she jumped on him. And that's why he doesn't believe that he had his underwear on the entire time. There's no way that I could be his son. So this is the kind of bullshit story that he's telling his wife to cover his ass, and so he has to tell this to everybody, that that it's a false positive, and
Oh, that's
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah, it's very frustrating.
And you had to hear him talk about your mother that way.
Oh
That would
yeah,
just, ooh,
yeah.
ooh,
He was
that would,
like, it would be different if I got a piece of ass out of it.
mm.
Um,
He said that.
he said that.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So that was, you don't want to hear that. Yeah, it was kind of a weird thing. Yeah, my mom was 17, and I know
Oh my
I've
gosh.
lived with my mother the entire time, and I know she's not that person. She would not do that. Having lived with her my entire life, I know that to be true. So
And she was in high school, right?
yeah, she
Like
was yeah, 17
a
years old in high
senior?
school. Yeah, senior in high school. Um, and it didn't go down like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was his story. So it was a total 180 than what I than my mom's story and my grandparents' story. So I did, when my grandparents were alive, I did ask them what their, if what their story was. This is after I've talked to my mom about it, and she kind of broke down. Talked to my grandparents, and they said, "Oh yeah, he we don't know who this guy is," and she could not remember who he is, and it was kind of a one night stand type of thing. Um, but he said they did say something odd, that he came back when I was about 3 years old, and he was, my mom was already living with my dad who raised me, um, and he came back to see if I was, if my mom was there, to talk to him and to see me. My grandfather was a very grouchy old German, and he just he looked him in the eye and said, the boy's already got a daddy. Um, Hit the bricks." So
Mm.
that was that. So he was that was their story. I believe that did honestly happen. Um, no matter what, they would have no reason to lie to me about that. So we would occasionally speak. Like I said, every few weeks. The last time that we during our regular scheduled meetings, he did say to me that he was trying to work with his wife to be more accepting, and that he wanted to give her some time. So he said, don't contact me for a couple months. That they were doing some traveling and stuff, and it wouldn't work out. So decided to take the summer off of 2017 and just let things settle and see if his wife would come around. I waited until August to call him back, and nothing had gotten any better. Um, I think she just got more angry by that time. Um, but during that time, I was getting more connections to Ancestry, and making more contacts and reaching out to more people. Uh, which one of the times we talked, he asked me again not to say anything to anybody, and that I was going to be this secret still. I had to pump the brakes on that one and just said, that's fine if you don't want to continue this relationship. That's cool. That's your right, whatever. But that's not going to stop me from reaching out to people. So he was like, "That's not what we want to hear." I said, "That's what I'm telling you." So kind of had to put my foot down on that one, and just let him know that I was going to be reaching out to a lot of his family. Um, and I thought that I would just kind of, my game plan was kind of to reach out to his brothers and sisters, and try to work it from the outside and just let them start to talk about me, and hopefully things would get better. And little did I know that family is very dispensable to my bio dad. So everyone that has spoken with me has been discommunicated. He will not speak to anybody that is in contact with me. So that's again, it's just, his wife holds a lot of power, and I don't like that, and I respect it at the same time.
Hmm.
It's kind of an awesome power to have, I guess,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like, okay, lady, lighten up, and that's kind of the big thing for me and listening to people's NPE stories is you got to realize, people put their parents up on this pedestal, and once they get knocked down, there is this anger and this betrayal. What I've come to learn is that people are humans, and humans make mistakes and they screw up, and you can't hold that against them forever. And it's really hard to forgive, but you don't have to forget. So after that, I've reached out to a lot of his family. I've tried to reach out to my three half brothers. They are not allowed to speak with me, even though they're in their 40s and they're grown men. Um, so I think they've been threatened that they would be cut out of the will if they were to speak with me. So that's, again, just a very strange thing. And
None
I'm
of your
not.
brothers have ever contacted you back?
No. I've
Oh,
tried to reach out many different ways, and I've had the aunts that I have talked to and the uncles that I've talked to tried to reach out to them, and they refuse to talk about it.
mm,
So they said they can't talk about it. They're not allowed to talk about it.
mm,
So,
so sorry.
well, no, I mean, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm,
I hate
mm-hmm.
that phrase, but what do you do?
Yeah.
Um, so it's just a waiting game. So I'm just waiting for them to come around, and hopefully one day they will.
Mm-hmm.
The door is always open. I'm not going to shut that door ever, or shut them out. If they want to shut me out, that's on them.
When's the last time you spoke with your birth father?
Last time I spoke with my birth father was August of 2017.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
yeah, when he said that we were this was not a go, he meant it. So, but during that time, I have met over half of his siblings, and I have some wonderful cousins and some wonderful aunts. We get together frequently, and so that part is just it's
Really?
yeah, it's really strange. I I feel like I found my tribe. There's just some members that don't accept me into their tribe. They're part of the tribe. So, but
So,
it's
like half his siblings will you have a relationship with, but he doesn't talk to you.
no, he won't talk to me. He won't talk to them either.
Oh gosh, for
Yeah.
talking to
So
you.
yeah. So like I said, family is dispensable to him. So he doesn't. It doesn't mean that much, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah. And the other really cool thing, other than making these connections with my aunts and cousins, the other really interesting thing is I have had some impact, um, about Iowa's birth certificate laws. So recently, I've reached out to some representatives and some senators in the state, and there's been a bill on the table for 20 years to allow adult adoptees to gain access to their records and have those records not be sealed by the court. So just last week, the Senate agreed to allow that law. It passed 92 to 9, or 92, 92 to 8, rather. Um,
Are you part of the right to know advocacy?
oh,
Was that what
yeah.
it's called?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, congratulations, Mike. I didn't realize.
Oh, yeah. So, another weird thing is being an instructor, you meet a lot of people out of community college. And I did mention kind of my situation in class to one of my students, and little did I know that she was the head of the Right to Know movement here in Iowa, and we just had a relationship, and um, yeah, it just we got to have some impact on this law.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Back to the birth certificate. my original birth certificate, I still do not have a copy of it. The court did release my adoption records, I never knew if I was legitimately adopted or not. I even asked my dad, and he was like, "Well, I showed up to a court one day and asked a judge if I could be your dad, and he said yes." And I was like, "That is not how this works. Do you have any paperwork to back this up?" And he's like, "No, we don't have anything like that." Um, so I never knew if I was really adopted or not, and it turned out that I was. I'm half adopted, um, which is great. I felt, through everything, I am very respectful of my father or my dad who has raised me, and I
Mm-hmm.
thank them. And with everything, finding out everything to this point, I think our relationship has gotten a lot closer and a lot stronger, at least on my end. So I don't know. I think they kind of bounce back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm still waiting to get my original birth certificate. The other really interesting thing about that is the judge that sealed my birth certificate was a relation of my bio father.
Hmm.
So he was a Supreme Court judge in Iowa, and he was the one that actually sealed my records. So there's another mystery there that I think there's more to the story that I don't know yet.
Will the right to know law, will that get you your original birth certificate ever?
Yes, so I think within the next year or two, things are going to open up for adult adoptees to have access to their original birth certificate.
Hmm.
Um, there are some stipulations, though, that they have written into the law that um, they will alert the birth parent, the birth mother, if somebody is trying to contact them, and they have the right to say yes or no. So
Oh,
it,
okay.
yeah. So yeah, it's not a perfect law, but it's a
Yeah,
start. It's a start.
it's a start. It's a
Yeah.
start. Exactly.
So through this process of my journey and documenting every step along the way, my wife and I, during lockdown last year, wrote a book about my experience. And we spent 3 months writing it, and it was very cathartic. And it's available on Amazon if anybody wishes to read it. It's great by me. So
What's it called again?
the book is called "I Had My Underwear On the Entire Time," which is a direct quote from my bio father.
Hmm. I'll make sure and put the link to that in the show notes. And is there a way people could contact you?
Yes, if people want to reach out, I am very happy to communicate with anybody that is in this situation or needs needs somebody to talk to. My email is a pair of Blairs, so APAIROFBLAIRS @gmail.com.
Got it. I'll put that link in as well. Michael, thank you so much for sharing today where you're at, all this information, and make sure and say thank you to Amy as well for documenting this, not only writing it all down, but for talking to me about it today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Lily, for everything that you've done for this cause and all your support. You're fantastic.
Thank you. These stories are here for us to identify with. If you are an NPE and would like to share your story, email npestories@gmail.com. You do not have to give any identifying information. If you are an NPE and would like to share your story, I'd like to hear from you. Subscribe to this podcast to hear more. Come heal with us.